There is a war inside you. It's quiet, invisible, but it's there. In every choice you make, in every excuse you whisper, in every dream you delay. And the battlefield is your soul. One side is weakness, seductive, patient, always offering the easy way out. The other side is purpose, unrelenting, raw, often painful, but always pulling you toward who you were meant to become. And the terrifying truth is this: you can't feed them both. Every day, every hour, every action, you're either feeding your weakness or feeding your purpose. You are either strengthening the voice that says, "I'll do it tomorrow," or the one that growls, "Get up, we're not done yet." There is no neutral. Weakness is not just laziness. It's every time you say yes to what you know is killing you. It's every time you let comfort win. It's every time you surrender your potential in exchange for temporary relief. But purpose. Purpose is a lion. It doesn't chase approval. It doesn't sleep through the alarm. It doesn't shrink to fit your doubts. It demands that you rise, that you bleed, sweat, fight for something bigger than you. And if you want that kind of life, a life with meaning, momentum, and mastery, you must starve your weakness like your future depends on it, because it does. You don't need more motivation. You don't need another book or another guru. You need hunger. You need to be fed up with settling. You need to get so sick of your own excuses that they start to taste like poison. The world will not hand you purpose. It will hand you distractions, wrapped in convenience, dressed like success. But it's an illusion. The real prize is built in silence, in struggle, in the decision to show up when no one is clapping. Purpose grows in the shadows, not in applause, but in alignment. Think of Edison, failing 1,000 times, not because he wanted to, but because he had to, because he refused to let his vision be buried by difficulty, because purpose wouldn't let him sleep until the world lit up. Think of Lincoln, torn by grief, loneliness, betrayal. Still, he led with steel in his spine, because the mission was louder than his pain. These men weren't born special. They chose to feed their purpose until it became who they were. And they starved their weakness ruthlessly because they understood. One moment of hesitation can undo a decade of discipline. You want power? Stop babysitting your weaknesses. You want clarity? Stop entertaining chaos and call it freedom. You want purpose? Stop asking for signs and start becoming one. Purpose does not wait for your convenience. It demands your obedience. It's the quiet whisper at 4 a.m. saying, "Work." It's the ache in your chest when you're doing something that doesn't align. It's the refusal to betray your calling for likes, for comfort, for the illusion of security. Because comfort is a liar. It will steal your years and call it peace. It will drug you with distractions and call it balance. But deep down, you'll know that you traded your fire for a blanket, that you let fear dress itself up as wisdom, that you fed your weakness while your purpose starved in the basement. That ends now. Because the clock doesn't care about your feelings. The world doesn't pause while you procrastinate. And your potential doesn't wait forever. So ask yourself, what have you been feeding? The voice that says, "I'm too tired," or the one that says, "I don't care. We move." The voice that says, "It's not fair," or the one that says, "I'll build it anyway." The voice that says, "Maybe later," or the one that screams, "Now or never." You are what you repeatedly allow. You become what you consistently tolerate. You are either building an identity of power or constructing a prison of excuses. And here's the thing. No one will come to rescue you from the weakness you coddle. No one will drag you into greatness against your will. If you want to rise, it has to be you. Your hands, your fight, your fire. So what are you willing to kill today? The snooze button? The self-doubt? The sugar addiction? The social media wormhole that eats your hours like termites in the frame of your future? What are you willing to let die so something greater can be born? You think greatness is born from ease? Ask Mandela, ask Oprah, ask every legend who ever stood alone in a storm with nothing but conviction. They didn't make excuses, they made decisions. That's what separates them from the rest. It's not talent, it's not luck. It's the choice to feed their purpose like it was oxygen. Because it is. Without purpose, you suffocate, slowly. You may still breathe, but you won't live. Not really. And you'll feel it. In the quiet moments, in the mirror, in the gut punch of regret at 2 a.m. But there's a cure. There's a way out. There's a path back to power. And it starts with a decision. To starve your weakness. To stop negotiating with the part of you that wants to stay small. To shut the door on mediocrity like your life depends on it, because it absolutely does. Because it absolutely does. Every hour you feed weakness, you delay your destiny. Every day you choose distraction, you bury your greatness 1 inch deeper. And one day, you wake up and realize the world moved on, and you didn't. But here's the thing about life. It doesn't wait, but it will yield. Not to the lazy, not to the loud, but to the disciplined. Life yields to those who dare to demand more from themselves than the world expects. To those who starve their addictions, silence their fears, and feed their vision like it's the only thing that matters. Because it is. Vision is fuel. It is the torch that guides you through the fog. And the reason most people feel lost isn't because they have no potential. It's because they've starved their vision until it withered. They never fed it. They fed Netflix. They fed drama. They fed opinions, gossip, comfort food, easy routes, and cheap dopamine. But vision requires a different diet. Vision eats clarity. It drinks focus. It grows in silence and thrives in sacrifice. You want a powerful life? Feed the vision. Carve time for solitude. Guard your mornings like gold. Design your life with intention, not impulse. Every minute you give away to things that shrink you, you steal from your future. And here's what most won't say out loud. The life you want is already watching how you live. It's not avoiding you, it's evaluating you. Your habits are your resume. Your rituals are your interview. And your discipline, or lack of it, is the only recommendation letter that matters. So if your vision is cloudy, if you feel stuck, stagnant, suffocated by routine, don't ask, why can't I break through? Ask, what have I been feeding? Because clarity doesn't come from thinking more. It comes from doing more of what aligns with your purpose. Build the thing, make the move, say the truth, drop the dead weight. You don't need more time. You need more intensity, more presence, more refusal to waste your precious energy on things that don't move the needle. Vision without urgency is hallucination. Feed your purpose and your vision will sharpen. Feed your weakness and you'll talk in circles for decades. The man who built the Empire State Building had the same 24 hours as the man who quit halfway through his blueprint. The difference was not resources, it was resolve. Resolve to feed the vision until it becomes your default. That's the beauty of purpose. Once you feed it long enough, it feeds you. It wakes you up. It drags you through hard days. It keeps you sharp when the world goes soft. But only if you stay loyal to it. You think loyalty is just for relationships? No, loyalty is a discipline. You must be loyal to your standards even when no one is watching, even when you're tired, even when the results haven't come yet, especially then. Because that's when your future is being decided. Not in the highlight reels, in the hidden reps, the dark mornings, the lonely nights, the I don't feel like it moments where you do it anyway. Purpose isn't something you find. It's something you build, brick by brick, sacrifice by sacrifice, rep by rep, day by day. You build it every time you say no to mediocrity. You build it every time you say yes to the work, even when it's boring, even when it's thankless, even when it feels like nothing is changing. Because something is changing. You are the work. You are the result. And when you change, everything changes. The people you attract, the doors that open, the opportunities that find you, not because you were lucky, but because you were ready. And readiness is not a feeling. It is a byproduct of preparation. And preparation is born from discipline. The kind of discipline that starves your weakness until it screams for your attention, and you ignore it. Not with anger, with certainty. The certainty of someone who's finally decided, this is who I am now, and weakness is no longer welcome. And weakness is no longer welcome, not in your mind, not in your habits, not in your language, because you've tasted what alignment feels like, and now anything less feels like poison. You've walked too close to the fire to go back to candles. You've built too much discipline to start negotiating with your feelings again. You've burned the bridges to mediocrity, and now the only way forward is through. But let me tell you something most will never hear. Action is sacred, not talent, not talk, not intent. Action, not the kind that's flashy or loud, but the kind done in silence, when no one claps, when you don't feel like it, when everything in you wants to rest, but you get up anyway. Because that kind of action rewires your identity, and identity is the engine. It's not about what you do once in a while. It's about who you become when no one's looking. When the world says, take it easy, you say, not today. When the body says, I'm tired, you say, we're not done. That's where purpose is fed, in the moment of resistance. Anyone can act when they're inspired. The legends act when they're empty. They don't wait to feel ready. They show up until they're ready. They act their way into confidence. They build muscle by breaking comfort. You think David Goggins runs because it's fun? No. He runs because purpose won't let him sit still. Because there's a war inside him. And every mile is another bullet fired at weakness. You think Jocko gets up at 4:30 a.m. for Instagram? No. It's a ritual. A signal to himself. I'm not here to play. I'm here to dominate. And domination doesn't begin on the battlefield. It begins in the mind. It begins with the decision to stop tolerating average, to stop making space for excuses, to stop glorifying softness like it's self-care. You want real self-care? Keep your word. Honor your potential. Stop lying to yourself. That's self-care. That's self-love. Not numbing, not scrolling, not bailing on your purpose in the name of balance. You don't need balance. You need alignment. And alignment requires sacrifice. You want to rise? Then something must die. Comfort must die. Distraction must die. The old you, the one that hesitated, that doubted, that made excuses, must die. Because resilience isn't just about bouncing back. It's about bouncing forward, stronger, sharper, hungrier than before. You've been through storms. Good. You've been broken. Even better. Because now you've got calluses. Now you've got memory. Now you've got something far more valuable than comfort. You've got grit. And grit is the currency of growth. You can't buy it. You can't fake it. You earn it. In the silence, in the suffering, in the stretch between who you are and who you could be if you just keep going. Because the difference between those who almost made it and those who did was not skill. It was refusal. Refusal to stop. Refusal to fold. Refusal to feed weakness for even one more day. You want to know how to feed purpose? Simple. Keep going. When it's boring, when it's hard, when no one understands, when you're tired, discouraged, unseen, keep going. Purpose is a fire, and every action is fuel. Every disciplined moment, every hard rep, every lonely hour where you chose growth over ease, it all feeds the flame. And the more you feed it, the brighter it burns. Until one day, it lights the way for someone else. And now it's not just about you, it's about legacy. Because the real ones, they don't just build lives, they build examples. They don't just reach the top, They leave a trail so others can follow. And that is what happens when you starve your weakness and feed your purpose. You become the kind of person the world remembers. You become the kind of person the world remembers, not because you were loud, but because you were unshakable. Not because you followed trends, but because you set standards. You become the one who stood up when others sat down, who leaned in when others backed off, who kept moving when every reason to quit was screaming in your ear, because you understood something the masses never will, that life is not about how comfortable you can make it. It's about how courageous you can become inside it, how much you can suffer with purpose, how much you can endure with meaning, how much of your own weakness you're willing to destroy to make space for greatness. You didn't come here to be liked. You came here to lead, to build, to bleed for something that matters, to stop consuming and start creating. Creating a life, creating a legacy, creating an example. Because every person watching you, your kids, your peers, your future self, they're not learning from what you say. They're learning from what you tolerate. They're learning what you allow. They're watching what you feed. So feed the fire, feed the hunger, feed the part of you that wants to build a cathedral out of your life, not a cardboard tent of excuses. Starve the fear, starve the softness, starve the voice that says, "What if I fail?" and replace it with, "What if I don't?" What if you're one disciplined year away from a life that makes you proud to wake up? What if you're one radical shift away from becoming the person you were born to be? Not the version numbed by fear and distraction, but the version forged by fire, the version who walks into a room and makes excuses leave. That version is not fiction. That version is waiting, and it doesn't need more time. It needs more truth. The truth that you already know what to do. You just haven't committed to it. The truth that every excuse is a leash, but every disciplined act is a step toward freedom. And the truth that purpose is not found, it is chosen. Chosen in the cold. Chosen in the dark. Chosen when you're tired and angry and confused. But still, you choose it. Because purpose is not a feeling. It is a war. And now, you know what side you're on. So rise, build, sharpen, shed everything soft, everything hollow, everything that dilutes your power. Because this life, this one short, sacred shot, will not wait forever. You either kill your weakness now, or you live under its rule for the rest of your life. And when that final hour comes, when the mirror no longer reflects youth but legacy, make sure you can say this: I gave it everything. I did not bend. I did not beg. I built. I showed the world what purpose looks like when it's fed with fire and never once shared a meal with weakness.